President Gibbs encourages health authorities to act quickly to establish a joint health protocol. President of WIFO reminded workers not to sign termination letters. And Prime Minister has reacted to King Willem Alexander's budget speech. Those are the headlines for Thursday, September the 24th, 2020. Good evening, viewers. This is SXM Daily News. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And as usual, we have a full newscast for you, so let's get started. In our first story, Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable Sylvania Jacobs, has reacted to King Willem Alexander's budget speech of last week, where he addressed the investment of the islands. The Prime Minister said that where they talk about checks and balances, we have so many checks and balances that we are over-regulated to some extent. And she elaborated more.
Throne Raider, the budget speech of the King just last week, minimally was said about the islands. But if you pay attention to what was said about the Dutch government and its intentions to keep its economy viable, the word investment was used. Not cuts, not stopping payments, but actually investing in the workers, ensuring and doing the same type of salary support that we are trying to do as a country. They're also in deficit, and it is understandable that they want accountability for any funding that comes to St. Martin. But we have shown and we have proven via the vehicles we've used to disseminate salary support and income support for the unemployed that we have the checks and balances, that their funding will not be misused in any way. We have so many checks and balances on St. Martin, I think we are even over-regulated to some extent. And it stagnates the movement of a lot of actions and decisions that have been taken. So instead of investing in the St. Martin, Aruba, and Curacao economies by ensuring we as governments can assist those businesses that are in peril of losing their sustainability, their livelihoods, we are being told to cut more. All this back and forth, especially where St. Martin is concerned, has been because we have decided not to cut our salaries of our civil servants. How all this started, I think people seem to forget. Aruba was already in major economic problems prior to COVID. So from February or before COVID hit, they were looking at taking the measures that they took. Their measures were not enforced by the Netherlands. They were forced to take these measures because they had billions of dollars in debt. And based on their cuts that they proposed, the Netherlands decided, well, all of you can cut this way. We are 3 different islands with 3 different economies at 3 different places within our development. Aruba has had self-sustainability for over 30 years. Curacao has gained the bulk of the infrastructure, the value of the separation of the Netherlands Antilles, because that's where all of the structures were. Our starting position was the worst. But even after being hit in 2017 by 2 massive hurricanes, we were already at the beginning of 2020 showing progress nobody would have expected. That is the resiliency I want us to focus on. When people don't expect it, St. Martin finds a way. Why? Hub function, international connection to all over the world by sea and by air. And we have people who adapt to our circumstances. So our new normal determines that, hey, maybe we have to go back to the drawing board. And that's why I take this opportunity to ask the unions to stop avoiding the discussions with government. We are not out to get the civil servants or any workers on St. Martin. We are actually fighting to not take any further measures that would hurt the people of St. Martin, whilst having agreed back in March or April to these set of conditions that still have not been finalized in order to be able to feed our people back then when there was no income coming in.
And as we continue, President of the WICLU, Claire Elshot, would like the public to know that as unions, they sat many hours in meetings and went through the draft MOU, and although they did not present it in writing to the Council of Ministers, they did, however, request a meeting for September the 7th. The president says that they booked in a request for September the 7th, but they have not received a response. She said that it is not fair to say then that it is the unions that are the ones who are not sitting at the table, as they are still waiting for that meeting.
To know that we as unions came together, sat many hours in meetings, and we also went through time and time again the draft MOU that we then presented in writing to the Council of Ministers and requested a meeting for September the 7th, September the 7th, yes. When I saw the Prime Minister at the border protests, actually, or Solidarity March, actually, I was in a conversation because the Prime Minister told me at that point in time that we need to sit as unions and government because it is for the same people. Now, I made the Prime Minister aware of the fact that I booked in a request for a social dialogue for the 7th of September. And here we are on the 16th of September, that date was, and I didn't receive a response. The minister made me aware that she got those pieces and they dealt with it in the COM on the day before, which to me should have been the 15th. If we are here today, Thursday, September the 24th, that is more than a week, then it is not fair for the Prime Minister to sit in front of the cameras and to tell the public of St. Martin that the unions are the ones that are not sitting on the table. We are still awaiting that invitation as unions to sit with the COM, and as the agenda point, they might not like that agenda point, but the reality is, our agenda point is we have a memorandum of understanding with a number of points to benefit the workers of St. Martin. If those points are not in, in relation to their governing program and is not probably in line with the eradication of poverty under the workers, and to be able to give the workers the sustainable, the sustainable development that they as workers need to be able to carry on their households, then we can always shift certain things, but it's no way the unions are going to stand here in St. Martin, leave the unconditional conditions that are being imposed from across the Atlantic. State Secretary Knops told the unions in a letter emphatically that he did not request for salaries to be cut. He did not request that for salaries to be cut. So if his conditions are that, and we are being subjected as unions to that type of treatment, is no way that we are going to be in this together to be able to get the workers a shorter end of the stick. No, we are going to be in this together, people of St. Martin, Prime Minister, ministers in COM, we are going to be in this together to make sure we guarantee as unions that no violations of the workers' rights, the workers' labor agreement, and also to make sure that there is a positive development when it comes to the workers.
And still to come, Prime Minister of Aruba has responded to the press statements made by State Secretary of Kingdom Relations. We'll have a detail to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Mega Wadi is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Welcome back, viewers. You're watching SXM Daily News, and I'm Valerie Van Putten. In more news for you at this time, President of the WIFO, Theophilus Thompson, is again reminding workers not to sign termination letters. He says he hopes that government is aware that stores are closing their doors and that some 21 workers will be laid off from Little Switzerland Jewelry Store, among others. He expounds further.
The number of companies which are shutting their doors, I'm not aware. I hope that government is aware of those closures. An example of Little Switzerland store on Front Street, among others, which decide to close down and are asking workers to sign termination letters. We have advised all employees from day one not to sign any document that is given to them by the employer for cuts or dismissals. I want to outline that there are 4 ways of ending a working agreement with an employee. 1, if you have a contract and the contract expires or come to its end, then that's one way you end your working relationship with the employee. 2, every employer who needs to terminate workers must seek permission from the Labor Office. So a request must be made, and the reason must be given why you want to terminate a working agreement with an employee, or a mutual settlement. If there is no mutual settlement and no dismissal request was sent in and the employer is still determined to end that relationship, they can go to court. So besides the individual contracts, permission must be granted, or a mutual settlement, or go to court to get a decision. Besides that, workers should never accept any termination of their employment with any employer just like that. Employers must follow those procedures, and we are seeing that is not happening in these days. And the excuse because of COVID or condition put down by government or by SZV, which are totally in violation of workers' rights.
And in news out of the island of Aruba, Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance of Aruba has responded to the press statements made by State Secretary of Kingdom Relations Raymond Knops. Some time ago, the Dutch Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations, based at Ka, issued a statement to the press about a bond loan in 2 parts that the country wants to issue of 60 million florins and $60 million, respectively. First of all, it should be stated that it is therefore not about 400 million florins, as is incorrectly stated in the statement, but 60 million florins and $60 million. The interest calculation used by BZK is therefore not correct. So, no extra 21 million in annual interest costs and no 1,400 florins in extra cost for every citizen of Aruba. It is also argued that interim repayment will be necessary to bring down the debts. This may be true for a car loan or mortgage, but not for a country. The only way to reduce debt is to have more income than expenses, so surpluses. Making interim repayments sounds nice, but is of no use as long as there are no surpluses. You can only really make repayments with surpluses in your pocket. In addition, it is argued that with these loans, the debt ratio will shoot up to 127%, and is jokingly said that the cabinet would be in for a competition for a place in the top 10 of the countries with the most debt. It must be said here that the debt ratio will also end up at exactly the same debt ratio with Dutch loans, so it does not really matter for the debt ratio and the debt position where the loan comes from. The only way that the debt ratio will not increase is if the Netherlands were to switch to donations, which, unlike in the case of Italy and Spain, is not negotiable until today. This statement shows that the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations has some difficulty in distinguishing between the terms debt and loan. A loan is a debt, but not all debts are loans. This means that even without raising loans, the debt and the debt ratio will rise this year. This is because this year, as is known, the expenditure on the budget is considerably more than the income. This is because the cabinet is trying to keep the economy going. Finally, Aruba is accused of not talking to BZK, but that people talk about BZK publicly. This is quite ironic because precisely with this press statement for the third time, the first time by the representative of the Netherlands in Willemstad via a public speech, the second time by the Undersecretary in a press conference, and the third time via this press statement by BZK publicly about Aruba is spoken without having spoken to Aruba beforehand. In any case, Aruba is prepared to openly enter into a dialogue with the Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations in order to reach a true consensus. Now, turning to our weather forecast for September the 24th, 2020, a weak Atlantic high-pressure ridge will continue to generate light winds across the local area. Lingering available moisture and instability, in addition to daytime heating, will account for isolated showers and isolated thunderstorms. Long-period swells are gradually subsiding. However, small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. So the outlook through Saturday midday, partly cloudy with isolated showers and isolated thunderstorms. Now, let's turn to your 3-day forecast. And still to come, Prime Minister of St. Martin has addressed the financial challenges that government is facing with COVID-19. We'll have the details to that story and more when SXM Daily News returns.
Make use of WIB mobile banking with easy access and direct usage of face recognition, PIN code, or fingerprint. Download WIB mobile banking app and make your transaction from anywhere at any time. For more information, visit wib-bank.net/quick-login.
Welcome back, viewers. And as we continue now in this item from the police blotter, in the ongoing effort of the St. Martin Police Force to upgrade and further develop the training of its newly recruited officers in training classes, the BP04 class held yet another traffic control, this time in the Phillipsburg area. During this control, several cars were stopped and checked for proper documentation of the vehicle. This control was done under the supervision of 2 senior police officers of the Uniform Division. The drivers received fines and warnings for not having their driver's license or insurance with them, and also for driving without a seatbelt on or other technical defects on their vehicles. These types of traffic controls will be continued in the future. The police force is asking the drivers to have all of their documentation for the vehicle with them when driving on public roads, and remember to adhere to the traffic rules at all times. And in other news at this time, Prime Minister of St. Martin, the Honorable Sylvania Jacobs, has addressed the financial challenges that government is currently facing with COVID-19. The Prime Minister says that they will, however, continue to work on all alternative sources to secure financing in order that they can safeguard the lives and livelihoods of the people.
As we all know, this pandemic continues to challenge countries large and small around the world. And so collaboration for our 37 square miles is tantamount for us to be able to work, live, and still earn to be able to survive during these difficult times. The minister already gave the update on COVID-19 and a bit on what was being done, Minister Finance and Minister VSA. However, I'd like to reassure the people of St. Martin that we will continue working on all alternative sources to secure financing in order that we can safeguard the lives, the living, the livelihood of our people. All that we have been doing and continue to do is to seek ways to ensure that not just government's expenditures, which takes care of schools, police, we even have to pay for doctor, for medication, etc., the underprivileged, the elderly, all of these standing debts that we have as a country, costs, including to run this building, to pay our civil servants, etc. That is important, that is a priority, but also ensuring that there is possibility for business, that people can continue to work and sustain themselves. And that's why I also commend the minister in continuing to push for the program whereby our local entrepreneurs, our businesses that exist, as well as any new business ideas. We've been talking about this since March. If you have a dream, now is the best time to go for it. You're down, but you're not out. You need a great idea, and maybe you need to collaborate with others. When we look at business models around the world, we're seeing the most successful models are the collaborative ones. We are a very small island, and yes, we want to do things on our own, but sometimes 2 to 3 business persons with the same idea would be able to better get a good result that they can share in than on this tiny island to be in competition with each other. So I encourage all of you to look into the information our Minister of Finance has been talking about, those with new ideas, those with existing businesses, and take advantage of this 60-40 possibility for a grant, which is a gift to be able to move forward in these times, and a loan, which after some time you'll be expected to pay back. We are resilient people. People think it's overused, but I have seen St. Martin come back, and come back again. And I truly believe that we have it within us to, tighten our belts, which we are doing as government. But of course, the people of St. Martin also have to do that and move forward doing what we can to help those who are more vulnerable than us, build them up so that together we are a stronger St. Martin.
And now in news out of French St. Martin, President of the Territorial Council of St. Martin, Daniel Gibbs, participated yesterday, September 23rd, in the cooperation meeting organized at the Prefecture. Also attending the meeting was Deputy Prefect Sylvie Fauchier, the Prime Minister of St. Martin, Sylvia Jacobs, the Director from the Regional Health Agency of Guadeloupe and the Northern Islands, Valerie Denux, and their respective teams with regards to matters of public health. The state and St. Martin authorities discussed the establishment of joint health protocols for both parts of the islands as part of the fight against the spread of COVID-19. The creation of a common screening center and the application of similar health rules animated the discussions. President Gibbs is particularly satisfied with the holding of this meeting and the desire for health cooperation displayed by the health authorities of St. Martin and St. Martin. The president, who has been calling for this cross-border cooperation for several months, now urged the health authorities to act quickly by implementing this health cooperation protocol as soon as possible. Madame Denux has indicated that she will make a concrete proposal to the Prime Minister of St. Martin by the end of next week. Sylvia Jacobs favored this proposal. Following the new restrictions announced by the Minister of Solidarity and Health, Olivier Véran, who's placed Guadeloupe in the maximum alert zone and decided to close the bars and restaurants of the archipelago from Monday, September 28th, President Gibbs recalled the socio-economic issues for St. Martin if such a measure were to be applied. For the President, since the positive cases have dropped significantly on both parts of the island, where restaurants on St. Martin are open, where protocols are already strict in establishment on both parts of the island, and where discussions are currently underway to harmonize prevention protocols, it would be inappropriate to apply this restriction. The health authority has indicated that for the time being, these restrictions are applied only to Guadeloupe. The Northern Islands are therefore not concerned. The President also insisted on the need to strengthen preventive actions and health protocols in our territory, on the one hand, to contain the spread of the virus and confirm the declining statistics recorded in recent days, and on the other, allow social professionals to stay in business and to save their businesses. And while we have been calling for this cooperation since March, it is now urgent to fully enter into a phase of concrete health cooperation with St. Martin. We will have to act with full responsibility, be even more respectful of barrier gestures in public spaces and the family sphere, and thus prevent the epidemic from rising again, concluded the President of the Territorial Council, who calls for everyone's vigilance in this tense health context. And still to come, more of the 6th Annual Sport and Creative Industries Open House. I'll have the details to that story when SXM Daily News returns. Welcome back, viewers. And in this reminder from our utility company, GEBE, they are informing the general public that the water supply to Crocus Road and Beaver Drive area will be interrupted on Friday, which is tomorrow, September the 25th, 2020, from 9 a.m. in the morning until 1 p.m. This outage will allow them to carry out the necessary maintenance to their water distribution system. And they do apologize for any inconvenience caused. And as we end this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening, we will continue with more of the 6th Annual Sport and Creative Industries Open House, which was held virtually on September the 14th, 2020. This evening, we will feature the sport of cycling and Susie Piscioni of the St. Martin Cycling Federation.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan Piscioni and I'm here representing the St. Martin Cycling Federation as well as the Friendly Island Triathlon Association. The St. Martin Cycling Federation hosts a number of training clinics as well as events throughout the year. We have the very popular classes that actually won one of the Brown Pelican Awards over the last 2 years, the Kids Mountain Bike Club, which takes place every Wednesday and Saturday. We have a World Cup mountain bike course here in St. Martin in the Bellevue area. We currently have 35 children being trained, and a lot of them have gone off to compete professionally in France and in Holland. So we're very proud of them. I'm also here representing the Triathlon Association, which started way back in '89. My father spearheaded this association along with Dr. Bus. And since then, we've put on a number of events throughout the year, as well as training clinics. The most popular one being the Boardwalk Triathlon, which takes place in June every year on the Boardwalk.
And with that, viewers, it brings us to the end of this edition of SXM Daily News for this evening. I am Valerie Van Putten, thanking you so much for joining me this evening. And just a reminder that this and other programs are available online. Simply log on to stmartinmediacenter.com for viewing. And on behalf of the SXM Daily News team, we thank you so much for watching and plan on meeting you right back here again tomorrow.